Shalom, truth seekers. So it's that time of year again, and just a little background for those who may be watching this and not understand the significance of this. I do believe very strongly in the words of our Savior when he said that not one jot or tittle of the instructions would pass away until heaven and earth pass away. And we know when you read the second to last chapter of Revelation, I believe you'll see there indeed heaven and earth do pass away at some point, but that has not happened yet. So until that happens, I value everything I read in the scriptures. And there is an instruction here in Leviticus 23:4 saying we are to proclaim special holy convocations in their seasons. And so there are holy times to our Creator, just like the seventh-day Sabbath, except these are the holidays, the original holidays. It's where you get the word, the modern word holiday comes from the word holy day, the words holy days that we read about in the original scriptures. And so there are holy times throughout the year, unleavened bread and Pentecost and the Day of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles, about 7 of them, I think. And we're to proclaim them in their seasons, and so this is the season of spring, per my current understanding, and so I'm going to be sharing with you the timing of these special holy convocations. And just a little more background so you understand, when I woke up and realized the Gregorian calendar was wrong, the calendar of men, Pope Gregory, I started looking for the true times of our Creator, and I zeroed in on Genesis 1:14 being very of the utmost importance. That says that he put lights in the heavens for times, for seasons, for days, and for years. And so I look to the movements of those lights to tell me what time it is, just like the hands of a clock. And so I'm not looking for a beeb, and I don't, it's a nice confirmation, but it's not the timepiece itself. It's a result of the timepiece. And so the movement of the heavenly luminaries are very important. And the other important thing to mention is when I woke up and started coming into more truth, like the month, the topic of the month, like we kind of get washed away into the lunar month and the Jewish calendars. And like I said, I want nothing to do with tradition. I mean, if there's some truth in tradition, then I want the truth of it, but I really don't have time for the tradition. And I mean, tradition can in vain do they worship me teaching for doctrine the commandments and traditions of men. So anyway, this phrase is really important. You'll see this phrase over and over again in the scriptures. It says in the new moons, and long story short, it should be in the new months. So you see, I've clicked on the word 2320 here. That's what this one here is in the Strong's Concordance. And it's got like this, I don't know the letters too well, but it kind of looks like a W and an R and an N. So that, you don't see that in the word for moon. You do see it in the word for month. And so this phrase that you see in the new moon should really be saying in the new months. And it's biased to say in the new months. And it just skews towards this traditional monthly view of lunar months. So I eventually, I didn't want anything to do with tradition. I wanted to try and find something that was written as opposed to tradition. I wanted to find something written in the scriptures, and I eventually noticed that the book of Jude talks about the book of Enoch and quotes directly from the book of Enoch. And I just, when I heard mention of these other books in the Bible, I did test them at some point and lo and behold, the verse that Jude quoted is in the book of Enoch. And I don't know if all of the book of Enoch is correct. If you're familiar with 119 Ministries, they have a pretty popular video where they're they're kind of debunking a lot of the book of Enoch, but in that video you will see even them admit that perhaps, of course, the section that Jude quoted from is probably not being, it is probably the original, and also they said the luminary portion of the book of Enoch is probably not been something that's messed with. So that's even 119 Ministry saying that. So, you know, with that in mind, I remember the first time I listened to Enoch, I heard the sections talking about the luminaries, and it just went completely over my head in one ear, and out the other was like, oh, that's interesting. It's talking about the sun and the stars doing things. But there's actually no calendar in the book of Enoch. And really the focus, the foundation of the calendar or the creator's times is Genesis 1:14. It's the movement of the heavenly luminaries. But the thing about Enoch is it's the only writing, and remember, I'm trying to go for writing as opposed to tradition, but it's the only thing in writing that seems to talk about the way that those luminaries move. So that was a very important part of me starting to understand the creator's times better, was just to kind of help give me an awareness of what those luminaries are doing and kind of what to look for. I mean, and like I said, there's no calendar in the book of Enoch. It's just talking about what the sun does, and I do think there's enough there to get the wheels turning and hopefully get you to look up. And I mean, Enoch was doing nothing more than putting Genesis 1:14 into action. He was simply telling you what the luminaries were doing during his time. And so anyway, one of the interesting things in the book of Enoch is that it actually says the sun, moon, and the stars all have month cycles. So again, back to the translation of new moons, being biased, it should be saying new month, like the realization of the month perhaps being either a solar month or a lunar month or a star month. You know, you got to think about that. And what I eventually realized was it seemed like the creator's calendar, really his times a year, is comprised of the 4 seasons. It is a solar year. Like we have the 4 seasons. You know, a caveman would know that the years are passing because there's a cold time of year and a hot time of year, and it just cycle. So the seasonal cycle is very key to understand, like, time. And the solar months go hand in hand, like fingers in a glove, with the solar seasons. The first day of spring is the first day of the first solar month. And there are 3 solar months in each season, and in the 7th solar month, the first day of the 7th solar month is the first day of fall. It's the first day of the second half of the solar year. Like I said, it just fits like fingers in a glove, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely open-minded to any you know, if people want to bring up other points to study, they have concerns, but it seems to make a lot of sense. I mean, when you think about the fall holy days and the commandment to, you know, keep the Day of Trumpets on the first day of the 7th month, that has a lot of significance because it's the first day of the second half of the year. It's the first day of fall, and you know that's why they call them, I suppose, the fall feasts. Otherwise, some people on lunar months are actually celebrating the Day of Trumpets in the summer, before the season of the fall. So anyway, the seasons are big, and they're only a result of the movement of the sun in the heavens. There's nothing else that creates the seasons. It's simply the sun is shifting slightly north and south over the course of the year, and it kind of like a rotisserie oven. I mean, when it crosses the center line of heaven, the celestial equator, you know, that's kind of that's a division point of seasons. And then when it gets up very high to like the longest day of the year, that's the first day of summer, I think. Yeah, and when it's down at its lowest position as seen from like north of the equator, then that's when it's coldest, and that's when you have the shortest day of the year and winter begins. And so, I mean, you get these seasonal divisions simply because of the position of the sun in the heavens. And so there was an effort by a lot of truth seekers in years past and this year to try and confirm when the sun crossed the center line of heaven, and it seems the sundial method for confirming that there are a couple different methods. One is the so-called straight line method, and there are a couple other methods. People use a tool called an armillary. But I guess everything still needs to continue to be tested. But those are the best. Definitely, the straight line method is the. It seems to have a lot of potential. It's kind of an amazing phenomenon. But right on the day when the sun is tracking along that center line of heaven, the celestial equator, if you're plotting a shadow that it casts from an object, it's called a gnome. Your sundial, the tip of your sundial, over the course of a day, it'll trace a perfect straight line, which is kind of amazing. It's still something I'm testing, but for now, that's the best we got to go off of. So anyway, this is data that was collected from people this year, and I make a different video that I'm probably going to release right before this one. So if you go to my channel, just look for the kind of the spring equinox luminary report summary video, and it'll kind of talk about all this data in detail. But long story short, in my neck of the woods in West Virginia, it looks like the first day of spring happened on the 21st day of the third Gregorian month. Oh, and those years are wrong. I gotta update that to say 2020, I guess. How'd I get that one right and all those wrong? Anyway, so this is the calendar that results from the first day of spring being the 21st. And again, it's just solar months. And so I count the days of the year. I guess I got the days of the week counting on top, and then the days of the year count down. And so you get down to the seventh month, and it just ends up being, let's see, so this is the third, the second, the first. So this is the day of trumpets, and it's the first day of the seventh month. So again, or maybe I didn't mention it, but this is color coded, and for the most part, you can look on the right here to see what these dates are being called out here. So this is my current understanding, and again, I could be wrong, but I do believe in obeying this instruction to proclaim, whether right or wrong, in all love and humility, just simply doing the best we can to seek out his truth and share it in love with a pure heart. So this is my current understanding of his times for this year. And I guess I encourage you to stay tuned, because it's always interesting to study the timing of Pentecost and first fruits. There's always kind of a more ongoing study related to that. So stay tuned for more discussion on that. But for now, this is what it's looking like this year. It looks like the majority of witnesses confirmed this date for the first day of the solar year. So this is what I will be going with. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is avoiceoftruthandlove@gmail.com. And I guess that's it for this video. So shalom, and may Abba bless as you continually seek out his truth and love with a pure heart.